As we foster peace and prosperity within our country, respect human rights, uphold democracy and the rule of law, and abide with our Constitution, we'll achieve these noble goals. Mr. President, it is against this background of ambition for my country that my government embraces the vision set out in Secretary General's report entitled Our Common Agenda. We embrace his views that our nations must be driven by solidarity, that he so eloquently described as, and I quote, the principle of working together, recognizing that we are bound to each other and that no community or country, however powerful, can solve its challenges alone, end of quote. Mr. President, our common agenda provides the framework for the emergence of a post-COVID-19 era, which addresses the world's fragilities, injustices, inequalities, conflicts, the eradication of poverty, banishment of racism and gender discrimination, and to realize ecological justice. Guyana looks forward to revitalize United Nations, spearheading the thrust towards a new era in international relations, in which the world emerges as a better, fairer, and stronger place for all mankind. I thank you and God bless you.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana for the statement just made, and I request protocol to escort His Excellency. The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Mogwitsi Eric Kibetswe Masisi, President of the Republic of Botswana. I request protocol to escort His Excellency. On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome to the United Nations His Excellency Mogwitsi Eric Kibetswe Masisi, President of the Republic of Botswana, and to invite him to address the Assembly.
Mr. President, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me on behalf of the Republic of Botswana, and indeed on my own behalf, to join previous speakers in extending our congratulations to you personally and the Republic of Maldives on your well-deserved election as President of the United Nations General Assembly at its 76th session. Your election to the helm of this august body is a clear testament that the international community holds both you and your great country, the Maldives, in high regard and esteem. This is not surprising given the immense experience and career accomplishments you bring to this position, spanning over 3.5 decades. I'm fully confident that the United Nations General Assembly will benefit tremendously from your extensive diplomatic, executive, and legislative experience. As we continue to battle against and strive to recover from the dreadful COVID-19 pandemic and many other pre-existing global challenges, such as the climate crisis, your vision statement, which is anchored on 5 rays of hope, serves as an inspiration to many, including my own country, Botswana. In this respect, it is gratifying to note that your vision speaks to the topical issues confronting humanity to date, which should remain on top of the agenda of the United Nations. These include human rights, climate change, gender equality and the empowerment of women, terrorism and violent extremism, inequalities and injustices. As Botswana, we are pleased that you have prioritized these issues and committed to deliver for people, planet and prosperity, consistent with your firm belief in multilateralism and international cooperation. Mr. President, let me in the same breath take this opportunity to pay a befitting tribute to your predecessor, His Excellency Volkan Bozkır, for his effective guidance and leadership during one of the most challenging General Assembly sessions in the 75 years of the United Nations existence. The pandemic challenged us as member states and him as president of this esteemed body to be innovative and creative to ensure business continuity in order to keep the wheels of the United Nations running. Notwithstanding the limitations imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic, we welcome the fact that under the able leadership of the outgoing President of the General Assembly, we successfully convened some of the most important high-level meetings of the 75th session. These included the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the United Nations, the first ever summit on biodiversity, the 25th anniversary of the 4th World Conference on Women, dialogue on support to least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states, digital cooperation, reform of the Security Council, and revitalization of the General Assembly. Most importantly, also was the convening of the 31st special session of the General Assembly in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which ensured that as member states, we demonstrate our collective resolve to come together in support of effective global response to the unprecedented impacts of the pandemic and reinforce the principles of solidarity and shared humanity. Mr. President, my delegation therefore fully endorses your choice of the theme for the 76th session, namely building resilience through hope to recover from COVID-19, rebuild sustainably, respond to the needs of the planet, respect the rights of people, and revitalize the United Nations. The theme is consistent with the actions we need to take collectively to fulfill the legitimate expectations and aspirations of the people we serve at this difficult time in our history. Mr. President, we welcome your clarion call for hope because it sets a much-needed optimistic tone for this session, given the extreme urgency with which we must act under the challenging circumstances we find ourselves. Hope is a virtue that is at the very core of human progress. History is replete with examples of great things that can be achieved when hope is chosen over fear and despair. Our great organization that was founded after the devastating Second World War is itself a product and manifestation of hope. Even in the midst of the worst pandemic in a century, our actions should be driven by the belief that things can and will be better. A year ago, when I had the honor of addressing this noble assembly, we were all in shock as a pandemic wrecked through our national health systems, taking many lives, destroying livelihoods, overturning life as we know it, and ushering in a new normal of lockdowns and social distancing. A year later, we're still in the throes of the pandemic. However, advances in science has enabled the rapid development of vaccines. Given that science has delivered the vaccines, now it is time for world leaders, guided by the ideals of the United Nations Charter, to ensure that this life-saving resource is distributed equitably. Without a doubt, a worldwide vaccination campaign that ensures that all countries, especially the developing countries, have urgent access if we are to contain the continuing spread of this deadly virus and its more transmissible variants. Mr. President, it is for this reason that Botswana shares the frustration by many and strongly supports a call for the vaccines to be treated as a global public good, as this is key to recovery and rebuilding better from the COVID-19 pandemic. I take this opportunity to commend the efforts made by some of the developed countries to support developing countries, especially those in Africa, which have very low vaccination rates. I wish to thank sincerely our development partners who have donated vaccines and other forms of assistance to Botswana, in particular to help to fight the COVID-19 pandemic, which is spreading exponentially now in my country and claiming many lives. The donation is an indication that the global community is slowly heeding the call by the Secretary General that no one is safe until everyone is safe. But we have also seen how the uncontrolled spread of the virus triggers the emergence of new variants. A more equitable global vaccination rollout program is urgently needed if we are to win the race against the new variants. Let us be mindful of the fact that a variant somewhere is a variant everywhere. Mr. President, I'm happy to inform that my government has prioritized saving our people from this pandemic. In addition to encouraging our people to practice the necessary COVID-19 preventive measures, we have also channeled extra resources to the health sector. This includes purchasing of vaccines through the COVAX facility, the African Vaccine Acquisition Task Team, AVAT, and through bilateral arrangements. While we have purchased enough vaccines to reach herd immunity, the current logistical supply chain challenges continue to hamper our vaccination plans. However, the slow rollout of vaccination programs in the global south, including my own country, cannot be solely viewed in terms of economic laws of demand and supply. Let us accept that the prevailing vaccine inequity is the real problem and a reflection of the inherent weaknesses of our multilateral system. We must therefore recommit both in deeds and words to the pledge we made at the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of this organization to strengthen international cooperation, coordination, and solidarity. One way of doing so is through the sharing and transfer of knowledge and waiver of intellectual property rights on vaccine production. We are ready to work with all stakeholders